Hey out there, everybody. This is Mr. Kowalski. It is good to see you guys back again, and I'm back this week again for your fourth grade music lesson. This week we are going to pick up right where we left off last week with the song that we started taking a look at. That song, Now Let Me Fly, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start that song, and I'm going to see, first of all, how much of your part you guys remember. All right, here it comes. Remember, you guys sang the red words last week. So we'll go through it again. We'll see how much you guys remember the red words. I'll take care of those blue words again, but you come back in on those red words for me. All right, let's just see how much you guys remember. We'll get you singing right away. Ready? Here it comes. Remember what these long lines mean? Ready? Go! Now let me fly. Stretch it out. Now let me fly. Yeah. Now let me fly. Then my part. Ready? Way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Not so particular about working at the wheel, but I just want to see how the chariot feels. And your part comes right back in. Stretch it up high. Awesome. Piano part. Red words, go! Stretch it out. Stretch it out. My turn. I got a mother in the promised land. Ain't gonna stop till I shake her hand. Not so particular about shaking her hand, but I just wanna get up to the promised land. Stretch it out, stretch it. Awesome. How'd you do out there? Huh? Yeah, all right, guys. Good work. Awesome. And like we said, we'll go ahead, we'll pause there for that instrument part to finish up. And like I said, with these Now Let Me Fly parts, remember those long lines, we're going to stretch that word out. Now let me fly. Now let me fly. And that's where it goes up high, right? We're going to stretch those words all the way out. Well, today's job is for us to take a look at those blue words and try those ones, the ones that I was singing for you. Okay, it's going to be your job to help me with those blue words now. So we're going to take a look at those in a second. But first, I just want to do a quick review of what kind of song this is. We talked about it at the end of class last week. Ready? We said that this week was a special kind of song sung by a special group of people. Let's see if you guys remember what those were. Ready? We said that this kind of song was called a spiritual. Right? We talked about how this was a spiritual, one of over 1,000 different spirituals, right, that have been collected over the years. But this song is the type of song, style of song that fits into this style called a spiritual. Now, does anybody out there remember what group of people used to sing spirituals long ago? Pause for student response. Right, slaves. Slaves were the ones who used to sing this song a long, long time ago. This one and many other songs just like it. Right, you said a spiritual. We talked about this last week. A spiritual is a slave song. And last week we talked about slavery. We talked about how difficult their lives were. We talked about how terrible it must have been, how absolutely messed up it was that this whole group of people, slaves, were people who were taken, pretty much just kidnapped from their home countries, kidnapped from where they lived, brought to America and forced to work on these farms, forced to work on these big farms, these big plantations, and they had to work in all kinds of conditions, right? And they were treated not like people, they were treated like property. They were treated like objects. The owners of the slaves could treat them however they wanted to. They could punish them, they could beat them, they could hurt them, they could sell them back and forth and trade them back and forth with other owners. If they wanted to get other workers back and forth, they could trade. They just treated these people like property. And we kept saying last week, we kept coming back to that phrase that that's just messed up. Right? Because it was totally messed up. But the slaves, when they used to enjoy, they didn't enjoy their life, but they used to enjoy a piece of their life. They used to enjoy songs like this one, these spirituals, because it wasn't just a slave song. There was a special meaning behind it. There was also this religious slave song. And it says the spirituals were these examples of religious slave songs because songs like this gave the slaves, right here it is, gave the slaves hope, right? Spirituals like this helps to reinforce the slaves' beliefs of hope, of one day getting away from this life of slavery. Now, because it was a religious slave song, their method of getting away from this life of slavery was that when they would die, they believed their souls would go to heaven where they would be eternally free from being slaves and they wouldn't have to suffer any longer. That was where this hope came from for the slaves, right? They believed that they would go to heaven after they died. And this is what the slaves believed in. They believed in the Bible stories. They believed in the things in the stories that they heard out of the Bible. They heard people tell and heard people share stories through songs and stories and things like that. They believed in all these biblical references. They believed in the stories of the Bible. And they believed that when they died, they would go to heaven and they would no longer be slaves. They would be free forever and ever. That was what the slaves believed, and that was the history about where these spirituals came from. Now, the song Now Let Me Fly is only one of an example of many, many, many spirituals that are out there. Like I said, over 1,000 different spirituals that have been collected. So that's a little bit of review about what spirituals are, the hope that it helped the slaves find. But now our job is to go back, like I said, and look at the blue words of the song. So let's go ahead and skip back through here. So we've got our red words, our Now Let Me Flies. We got all those. Awesome job, by the way. Good, going down low first. Now let me fly. Down low, then up high. Now let me fly. Then up high. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle of the air. And that was all your part too, last time. So today we're going to get just talk about, like I said, those blue words. Talk about how they fit into the spiritual meaning and stuff like that, and be able to sing these too. So if I skip ahead, let's take a look at the blue words down here at the side. The first verse of the blue words, the ones that I got a chance to sing, were the ones that started here. It went, way down yonder in the middle of the field. Now you got to remember, these are the slaves singing this. So the slaves would have to go out and work out in the middle of the field all the time, right? That's where they had to go work, way down yonder, way over there in the middle of this big working field. So way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Anybody out there know what a chariot is?
Pause for student response.
Right? You might be sitting there saying, I don't know what a chariot is. I don't know. Right? A chariot is an old method of transportation, right? It's an old way of moving around before cars and planes and all that stuff. A chariot was pretty much like a horse-drawn wagon or like a horse-drawn cart that people could ride in. Now, we're not talking like a big one like the Cowboys in the Cowboys days where they had big covered wagons and things like that. That's not what we're talking about. A chariot was a smaller cart that was pulled by horses, usually sometimes even just one horse because they were really small. They were usually only small enough for one or two people to stand up in. They had two wheels. They had one wheel on each side, and then it would get hooked to the horse, and the horse could pull them around, and they used them for transportation. Right? That was what this chariot was. So now this slave is down in the field, and here's what he's singing about. He says, way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Oh, the wheel on the chariot's broken. He's got to work at it. He's got to fix it. It's a busted wheel. He says, not so particular about working at the wheel. Now, this whole not so particular phrase means it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me working at the wheel. It's not too hard. I don't mind doing this work working at the wheel. That's what he's saying. That not so particular. I don't mind it. That's not the important part, he says. Okay. But I just want to see how the chariot feels. So he's saying, I want to go for a chariot ride. Right? Now let me fly. I want to go for this ride, right? This getting away kind of thing. He says, I want to see how the chariot feels. I want to go for a ride in the chariot, but I can't because the wheel's busted, right? The wheel's broken. I can't go for a ride in the chariot, so the wheel's busted. So he's saying, I got to fix the wheel because once I fix the wheel, then I can go ride in the chariot, right? I got to do the work first, then I get the fun thing. I got to do the hard stuff, and then I get the reward. Like it's kind of like if you get home from school on a big, beautiful, sunny day, and you go inside and you say, "Mom, Dad, it's a nice day outside. Can I go outside and play?" And they say, "Sure, you can, but first you got to do your homework." Oh, my parents used to say that all the time. You can go outside and play, but first do your homework. Oh, I don't want to do my homework. I want to go play, right? But I had to do the hard stuff. I had to do the homework part first. Then I get the good stuff. Then I get the reward, right? I got to do that work. So, okay. I don't want to do my homework, but if I want to go outside and play, I know I got to do my homework. So, all right, I'll go ahead and do the homework part because then I get the good stuff. Then I get to go play, right? Or, can I watch TV? Yeah, but go clean your room first. Oh, my room was always a mess. Right, but I didn't mind cleaning my room because I knew once I cleaned my room, then I got the good stuff. I got to go outside and play. I got the reward. And that's the kind of same thing this slave is saying right here in this verse of the song. He says, see me, I'm working at the chariot wheel. I'm working at it. I got to fix it. I don't mind doing the work to fix it because once I do the work, then I get the good stuff. Then I get to go for a ride. But I can't go for a ride until I fix it and do the work. And that was kind of the philosophy that the slaves, with this positive, hopeful feeling of heaven, that's kind of the way they treated their lives. They didn't want to be slaves, and they didn't like being slaves. It was hard being a slave. That was the work part. But because of what they believed, the good reward part was coming later. Now, for them, what was the good reward part? Going to heaven. Right. So they said, we don't like being slaves. It's tough being a slave, and I don't like it, but I know there's a better reward coming. So that's what this verse is really talking about for the slaves. And put the whole thing together, that's where it goes, way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Not so particular about working at the wheel, but I just want to see how the chariot feels. Now that's me singing it, but now it's going to be your turn to help me out with it, right? So it kind of follows a little up and down the steps pattern. It kind of goes really nicely with it. So I want you to, okay, we'll do line by line. I'm going to sing the first line, you sing it after me. It goes like this. Way down yonder in the middle of the field. Got it? Ready? Kind of down the steps and right back up again. Listen again. I'm going to sing it. You go right after me. Way down yonder in the middle of the field. Go. Way down yonder in the middle of the field. Yeah, same thing again. Almost. The end's a little different. See me working up the chariot wheel. Try that. See me working up the chariot. Now this part's fast. Not so particular about working at the wheel. Ooh, that not so particular part's fast. Listen again. Not so particular about working at the wheel. Go. Not so particular about working at the wheel. But I just want to see how the chariot feels. But I just want to see how the chariot feels. Yeah. Easy peasy. You got it. Let's try this whole part. The whole blue part all the way. Way down yonder. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Bouncy ready. Here we go. Way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Not so particular about working at the wheel, but I just want to see how the chariot feels. Yeah, awesome. Good job, everybody. Now, that's number 1. Keep that in your brain. Don't let it fall out. Ready? Let's skip ahead to the blue words number 2. Now, if you can sing number 1, number 2 is going to be super easy because it's the same tune, just with new words. Ready? Now, here comes the second one. Same thing, though. Let's see what they say right here. It says, I got a mother in the promised land. Ain't gonna stop till I shake her hand. Not so particular about shaking her hand, but I just wanna get her to the promised land. Right, so there it is. So let's look at these words, right? It says, I got a mother in the promised land. So again, this is a slave singing, I got a mother in the promised land. Now to them, the promised land was another word that they called heaven, right? Because that land was promised to them when they would go to heaven. So this promised land, they say, I got a mother who's already up in heaven. I got a mother who's already there. I ain't going to stop. I'm going to keep on working till I shake her hand. So I'm not going to stop till I can get up there with her. Right now, here comes that phrase again. Not so particular. I don't mind it. I don't mind doing that work. Not so particular about shaking her hand. That's not really the important piece. The shaking her hand is going to be great, but that's not the biggest piece of all. The biggest piece, but I just want to get up to the promised land, right? I just want to get up to heaven. I just want to be there is what these slaves were saying. So let's try number 2 all the way through together. I got a mother. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. I got a mother in the promised land. Ain't gonna stop till I shake her hand. Not so particular about shaking her hand, but I just want to get her to the promised land. Nice. And then, of course, we know we go right into the red words at the end. Now let me fly. Ready, go. Now let me fly. Stay up high. Now let me fly. Way up high. Way in the middle of the air. Awesome. Good job, guys. Now here comes the hard part. Let's try the whole song. Ready? I'm going to skip all the way back to the beginning. Let's try the whole thing. And I think you guys got this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push the magic button over here that takes away all their voices. These kids aren't going to sing. The guy and the lady in this aren't going to sing. It's up to you and me. Ready? Here it comes. Let the flute start it out. Remember, the flute kind of represents the birds flying. Now it's going to scoop. It's going to fly way up high, like the words say. Ready? Ready? And here we go, everybody. Go! Now let me fly. Now let me fly. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle of the air. Number one. Way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Not so particular about working at the wheel, but I just want to see how the chariot feels. Now let me fly. Good, keep going, keep going. Now let me fly. Piano part. Bang, 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 bang. Ready, go! Now let me fly. Now let me fly. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle. Ready, number two, here we go, ready? I got a mother in the promised land. Ain't gonna stop till I shake her hand. Not so particular about shaking her hand, but I just wanna get up to the promised land. Now, come on now. Now let me fly. Now let me fly up high, way in the middle of the air. All right. All right, guys. Good job. Awesome, awesome. Now, I want to take the last couple of minutes that we got, taking a look at some of these words, because there's a little secret about this song that I haven't told you yet. Right? We said this song is an example of a spiritual, a religious slave song that gave the slaves hope. Right? And the words that the slaves would sing, these kinds of words that they would sing in these songs, were all about these references to religion, references to what the slaves really believed in. Right? So we said that the slaves believed in going to heaven when they die. And that's what these songs were really about. These songs were about them wanting to get up to heaven. So in this song, for example, going specifically to this song, they said they're talking about flying to heaven. So they said, now let me fly, right? I want to fly all the way to heaven, right? And a lot of these spirituals had these same kind of references in them. Now in this song, they actually don't say heaven out loud. They don't use that word, but they use two other phrases that mean heaven, right? Way in the middle of the air, right? Way in the middle of the air. Or, I got a mother in the promised land, right? So, those are all, there I am typing funny again. Ready? Promised land, right? Promised, my goodness. There it is, right? I got a mother in the promised land, right? So you got these slaves over here saying, I got a mother in the promised land. I want to fly. I want to fly up to heaven. And they would say, I want to fly up to heaven, talking about, I want to go for the ride in that chariot. Right now, this whole chariot, ride in a chariot thing is kind of a weird story. But remember, the slaves believed in the Bible and Bible stories. So there's this one story in the Bible where these believers, just like the slaves, okay, where this one guy, I believe his name was Elisha, right? And Elisha dies, right? And when Elisha dies, this flying chariot comes flying out of the sky, right? The heavens open, and this flying chariot comes down and picks Elisha up and carries him up into heaven. There's this Bible story that says that. The slaves were like, dude, that sounds awesome. Right? I mean, going to heaven in a flying chariot pulled by flying horses, that's sweet. That must be how we get there. So the slaves are saying, I want to ride in that chariot because that's the chariot that's going to take me to heaven, to the promised land, right? So I got a slave here saying, man, I want to fly to heaven in that chariot. I want to fly in the air in that chariot. I want to go to the promised land in that chariot, right? But here's the cool thing. A lot of spirituals like this there's a secret about them, right? A lot of spirituals like this, not only were they religious slave songs that gave the slaves hope, but songs like this were also used as secret code songs. Oh yeah. Yeah, the slaves figured out a way to hide secret messages in these spirituals, in these religious slave songs, right? Like we said, as a slave, you couldn't just quit being a slave and go away, right? You could take the chance of escaping and running away to freedom, but that was a very risky chance. If you got caught, ooh, you could get punished so badly. You could get really punished badly. So trying to run away to freedom was a very risky, very dangerous thing. Now, there were some slaves who were successful at it. Maybe you've heard the name Harriet Tubman. Yeah, yeah. Harriet Tubman was a slave who escaped, and she could have just gotten to freedom and played it safe. But she went back and helped over 300 other slaves escape over and over again. She took that chance. So running away and trying to escape was very dangerous. But it could be done if you were careful about it. But if a slave was trying to escape, they couldn't tell the other slaves about it because they didn't want their owners to find out. They might be out working in the field and their bosses are walking around, and I can't just go, I'm going to try to run away. I'm going to try to run away. I don't want to be here. I'm tired of being a slave. I'm going to run away. Yeah, that didn't work out that well. If I was a slave and I sang that and my boss heard it, boy, would I get in trouble. So the slaves figured out if they were going to build these escape plans, they had to have these secret codes that went into the songs. And they used spirituals like this. They used their religious songs to hide these secret codes. And here's how they would hide those secret codes. Ready? Like the word fly, right? The word fly was a secret code word that the slaves used for escape or run away. They would hide that word in there, right? Now, if they're talking about heaven or up in the air or the promised land, right? That was another code word, the secret code for freedom or free states. Check it out. Yeah. Now, talking about a chariot, that had a code word too. The chariot was a secret code word for what they called the underground, fix that spelling error, Underground Railroad. Maybe you hadn't heard of that before. Ready? Now, the Underground Railroad wasn't a real railroad that went underground. That would be really loud and hard to keep a secret, right? But the Underground Railroad was this secret way that the slaves could follow to escape to freedom. They had hiding places along the way and people that would help them along the way. Right? That's what the Underground Railroad was. That was part of something that Harriet Tubman helped to establish, was helping to lead slaves through these safe places so they could escape to freedom. So each one of these words that had a religious meaning in the song also had a secret code word in the song. If I'm singing about flying, I'm really singing about escaping and running away. If I'm singing about getting to heaven, I'm really singing about going to freedom. If I'm singing about flying in a chariot, I'm really singing about the Underground Railroad. So if I'm a slave singing, now let me fly to the promised land in a chariot, I'm really saying, now let me escape to freedom by following the Underground Railroad. Right? If I sang these purple words in a song, my owners would know about it right away and I'd get in big trouble. But if I could hide that meaning in the religious meanings of the song, then the owners didn't know about it at all. Now, that doesn't mean that the slaves didn't really believe in going to heaven. They did. They really did believe in going to heaven, but they figured out how they could hide the meanings of these escape plans right into the meanings of the words of the song. And that was an incredibly bright and smart thing that the slaves were able to figure out. So that's kind of the secret about it. Now, nowadays, it's not so much of a secret. There are all kinds of books and stories and things about it now. But back then, it was a big time secret. Nobody wanted to let all those things go. Nobody wanted to let anybody know what was going on. Just the slaves knew about that. So That's the way they use these spirituals. And a lot of the other spirituals, and we'll take a look at other ones later this year, a lot of other spirituals use these same kind of code words over and over again to talk about these escape plans that the slaves would have. Okay. But, oh goodness, right now, our time is just about up. So awesome job with singing the red words and even jumping in with those blue words today. Great job with more review about these spirituals. Great job with talking about the code songs, these double meanings that these spirituals had. So, boys and girls, awesome job out there. Keep up the good work for your fourth grade teachers. All right, keep working hard. And I can't wait to see you guys again next week. We'll talk about something new, something different. But keep the spirituals and stuff, all that, keep that stuff in your brain. It's kind of cool to get a chance to see how those slaves figured out those code words they hid in there. All right. But I'll get a chance to see you guys again next week. So have a great, wonderful week. Keep working hard, and I'll see you guys. Bye.